Since we installed Java, let's now write our first Java program. But before writing our first program, let's look at the structure of a Java program. Java programs consist of classes. That is, when you write a Java program, you write at least one class. From a class, we can create one or more objects. An object is a central concept in object-oriented programming. We will look at object and object-oriented programming in the next chapter. For now, let's just focus on class. Here this diagram illustrates what constitutes a class. What we see here are the elements or program constructs in a class. We have variable declarations, constructors, methods, and nested classes. Variables, constructors, and methods will be introduced in the next chapter. Nested classes will be introduced towards the later part of the course. So let's go ahead and write our first Java program. Typically, Hello World program is the first program that is written, and let's also do the same. This program will have a single method which prints the text Hello World. Here are the steps we will follow. We will first create this directory structure. Over here, Java in-depth is the root directory. All programs we create as part of this course will go into this directory. For now, let's not worry about the rest of the directory structure. It will be clear very soon. Next, we will write hello world.java in a text editor. You can use any editor like Notepad. I'm going to use Notepad++. As mentioned earlier, later we will switch to Eclipse. Finally, we will compile and run the program. Okay, so let's go ahead and follow these steps. The required directory structure has already been created. So let's just go ahead and create our Hello World class. Every class begins with the keyword class, okay, which is a reserved keyword in Java. So let's just insert that class. And the keyword is followed by the name of the class, which is Hello World in our case. And every class has a beginning brace and an ending brace. Okay, so this is what we have. So this is the class declaration here, class and Hello World. And within our class, let's have just one method, and it's called the main method. So here is the main method, and the main method also has a beginning and an ending brace, just like the class. So this is the name of the method, which is main, and this is a method parameter, and we will look at that later, but it's an array of strings, and arrays will be discussed later in the chapter, and strings will be covered in a separate chapter. And this is the method output. In this case, it's called as void, and let's not worry about that for now. So it has both input and output, and public and static are both of them are called as modifiers. Public is called as an access modifiers, but let's also not worry about that. There are other access modifiers too, and we will discuss all of that later. And static is just a type of method, and we will discuss that also later. And let's just have one single statement within this class, and it's going to print the string hello. Print ln, double quotes. And every statement ends with a semicolon, okay? That's how it is in Java. So this is our Hello World program. Let's just go ahead and save it as helloworld.java. Since we already created Java in-depth directory structure, so let's just go there. Source, com, semantic square, basics. Extension is .java. And that's it. So that's the Hello World program, and it has a single method, main. Now let's just go ahead and compile and run this. So let's just go into the command prompt, which is the DOS prompt, cmd. But let's get the directory structure. Let's go into that directory. So to compile, we use the javac command. And here is the Java file. So when we compile it, it's compiled. So let's just, so here we are in the basics directory. So we have this hello world.java, and the class file has been generated. And this class file has the bytecodes, Java bytecodes. And so this is a Windows machine, and we know that this class file can be executed on any platform, okay, whether it is Linux or Mac, it can be executed, and that's the advantage we have in Java, which is the platform independence. So let's just go ahead and execute it. For that we use the Java interpreter, hello world, so which is nothing but hello world.class. So when we do this, it's going to print the hello world message. Okay, so we compiled and we ran our first program. Okay, so let's just go back here. Now this file, the class name is hello world and the file name was also hello world.java, and it need not be same, at least in this particular context it need not be same. So if you want, we can just change this to hello world 1, so which is the name of the class is hello world 1, the file name is hello world. So now let's just go ahead and compile this. Let's just call it as, the file name is still hello world, so let's just compile it. So it compiled fine. Now if you look at the disk, so we see that, so this is the hello world.java, and this was previously created hello world.class, we don't need that anymore. So hello world 1, a new class file got created. Okay, so this was the file with the new name. So this is just to show you that it need not be the same, but you shouldn't do that. Typically we always have the same name, the file name and class name are the same. So let's just change it back to hello world. Actually, let me put it as hello world 1, but generally we also have the modifier public here. Typically we do that, but if you do that, then the compiler requires that both the file name and the class name are same. Okay, so in this case, let me just compile, let me just say hello world, and there you go, it says, it gives an error message, it says class hello world 1 is public and it should be declared in a file named hello world 1.java. Right now the name is hello world.java. So if you have the public modifier, which is generally the case, then both of them have to be same. Okay, so just keep that in mind, and typically you will have the public modifier most of the time, and so just keep that in mind. So always try to have the same name. Okay, now you can also have more than one class within this particular file, but normally you wouldn't do that. So but let's just go ahead and create a new class here. Okay, let's just call it as goodbye, and let's also print the message goodbye. Okay, so there are two classes here, hello world and goodbye, and both of them have a main method and both of them are printing something. So let's just go ahead and compile the file hello world. Let me just delete this hello world 1. Let's compile it. Now you can see that it will create two class files, hello world and goodbye. Okay, so the compiler is going to scan this particular file and create separate class files for both of them. Okay, but generally you will never have more than a class in a single file. There is something called nested classes, where within this class you can have nested classes. You can have other classes nested within this class. So that we will see later. But normally you wouldn't have a class externally like the way we see here. That's something that you wouldn't do normally. Probably if you want to do some quick prototyping and if you want to have multiple classes, you might do that, but generally you will not do this. Okay, so let me just delete that. So it's just to let you know that you can have more than a class in a single file, but you shouldn't be doing that. So now let's switch back to our slides and discuss a little bit more about the main method. Okay, now if you want to run a class from the command line, you need to have a main method in that class, and let's discuss a little bit more about the main method. Now let's discuss a little bit about the main method, as it is a unique method and deserves special mention. Main method is where your program starts running. That is, on executing Java space hello world, JVM first loads the byte codes associated with hello world.class into memory, and it then invokes its main method. Main method must be declared public, static and void. Public keyword is required in order for JVM to invoke it. Otherwise, program will compile but not run. Now from the main method, we typically invoke other classes that constitute the software. And program ends when the main method ends. So that's about it. We just wrote our first program and then compiled and executed it.